TJ Watt had a little bit of wide receiver diva in him as he posted this on his Instagram story just a couple of days ago. Picture of him holding up a peace sign in his Steelers uniform as contract extension talks have seemed to have possibly stalled between him and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Welcome into the show, everybody. I am Joey Peterson. We're talking about a TJ Watt trade today because it's kind of seeming to be like it could be a possibility. Mark Caboli had this to tweet out just the other day. After talking to people, I'd keep an eye on this Steelers TJ Watt contract situation moving forward a little more closely. It doesn't appear that the Instagram picture he posted yesterday was just by chance. I'd imagine an extension is still going to eventually get done, but the price tag just might be a tad bit higher than some anticipated. So the question on today's show is, should the Packers pounce if Watt's contract talks go sideways? If they continue to stall, if they continue to sour, could Green Bay try to swoop in there and trade for the all-pro edge rusher? We've talked a ton about edge rusher trades. We talked yesterday about possibly trading for Trey Hendrickson, and that's because that's something we need to discuss. We know this group, this front four, this edge rushing team that Green Bay has is not getting the job done, and if you add a guy like TJ Watt to the mix, I think they would get the job done, plain and simple. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. I got a lot more to talk about on today's show, but we are getting incredibly close to 3,000 subscribers. We're less than 100 away. All I need, 95 subs off today's video, and then we'll get to that 3K mark. We've been growing like crazy right here on the Packers Report. Thanks to each and every single one of you guys. Daily videos, breaking news, anything you can want, you can find it right here. So hit that sub button right now to help me get to 3,000. Let's throw it back a little bit because I know when we think TJ Watt, when we hear TJ Watt, we automatically think of the 2017 NFL Draft when you traded out of the 29th pick and TJ Watt got picked at number 30. Traded back 4 spots with the Cleveland Browns. They selected David Njoku, and then the Steelers selected TJ Watt with pick number 30 overall. It's funny to look back 8 years ago and kind of look at what that trade ended up turning into because, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you one thing. It was not worth it. You selected Kevin King in the first pick of the second round, and he was a cornerback from the University of Washington, if you don't remember. He missed 62 games with injuries in 7 seasons. He played 1 full season, and he was absolutely ridiculous. Got 5 interceptions in it, but that was the only single season he played the entirety of. Finished his career with Green Bay, just under 200 tackles, 6 interceptions. Then Vince Beagle, outside linebacker out of Wisconsin. He fractured his foot just like 2 or 3 weeks after the draft. Ended up playing 9 games in 2017 after starting on the pup lift, and then was waived by Green Bay just a month or a year and a half after he was originally drafted. So it's safe to say those turned into dumpster fires because when you look at what TJ Watt has been able to do, and just look at these last 4 seasons in general, it makes you think, man, picturing him in green and gold, with this front four, with this defense, could be something incredibly special. 11.5 sacks last year, 19 sacks a year prior, 2 years before that, and 15 games in 2021, 22.5 sacks. I mean, just absolutely remarkable. We're going to show it later, but like if you combine the 3 highest sack leaders for Green Bay this last year, I don't even think it was 22.5 sacks. And like everything, this is all going to come down to the money, as we know. Myles Garrett cashed in big over this offseason, $40 million a year. And then you got to go all the way to 7th to see TJ Watt there with $28 million. Now, I would not mind getting $28 million a year, but TJ Watt likely wants the Garrett contract, okay? He sees Myles Garrett. He sees a guy with similar production. He sees a guy taken in the exact same draft. He sees a guy that's just 1 year younger than him, if even that. I know one's 30, one's 29. And he says, you know what? Screw this. Why shouldn't I get his money? I've done pretty much just about everything that he's done. I'm pretty much his exact same age. He just got 4 years, $160 million, $123 million of that guaranteed. Why not me? I deserve that. I should get that. And I don't necessarily think he's wrong. Now, I get it. $40 million a year for a football player is ridiculous to any of us. But with the salary cap just going up and up and up and up and is projected to keep on doing that for the next couple of years, it's not that crazy, okay? Right now, the Packers sit with $32.49 million in cap space. That's about ninth in the National Football League. So they're in a really good spot. And this is a move that if they wanted to make it, financially they could, and they could pay him. However, you have to look past that. You have to look further than this year because you get into next offseason, and you got a lot of really important free agents. Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Dontavian Wicks, Devontae Wyatt, Emmanuel Wilson, Zach Tom, Kingsley Enagbare, Rasheed Walker, all those names, just to name a few. That's not even everybody. And so you got to ask yourself the question, if you're going to pay TJ Watt that much money, who are you going to have to say goodbye to on this list that you might not want to? However, it all comes back to this. The Packers need pass rush help. Period. Okay? It's not as bad as it is in Atlanta. It's not as bad as it is in some other places, but that doesn't mean it's all just peachy keen in Green Bay because it's not. This group just flat out isn't getting the job done. Rashawn Gary, Devontae White, Kingsley Enagbare, Kenny Clark, all four of those guys expected to take some pretty big jumps this last season that just didn't. Lucas Van Ness, he's going into another year as a Green Bay Packer. Can he finally live up to that hype that he had just a few years back when getting drafted? And you look back at this last year, 7.5 sacks for Gary, 5 for Devontae White, 4.5 for Kingsley Enagbare. Those numbers are poor. But even poorer are the pressures. 23 and 26 for Kingsley Enagbare. That means they average just a little bit over one pressure a game. That's not good enough. Okay, that's not good enough. And you might just be one of those fans that looks at everything from a 1,000-foot view. And you might see these statistics. Say, Joey, they got 45 sacks this year. What are you talking about? They don't need pass rush help. Joey, their sack percentage was almost 7. Top 12 in the National Football League. What are you talking about? They don't need help. But guys, they truly do, because when you zoom in a little bit further, don't look at it from 1,000 feet. Let's look at it from a microscopic view of a down-to-down basis. Pass rush win rate, 35%, 26th best in the National Football League. QB pressures, 210, barely top 20. Top 20. Is that what we're going to hold ourselves to? Top 20? Quarterback pressure rate, 32.3%. That's flat out 20th. All of these numbers could get better. All of these numbers need to get better. And a big reason of why you lost that playoff game is because you couldn't pressure Jalen Hurts. So I got a trade idea. How about TJ Watt for a first and a fifth? Now, if this team had a higher draft pick than 23, if they're somewhere around the mid-teens, early teens, then this could get by with just a first rounder. However, they're not. They got pick number 23 right around where the Steelers are picking. And so I think, just two behind where the Steelers are picking, I think pick number 159 to add on to that would do the trick. And you got to think of it as, guys, you're looking for edge rushers in this draft. That's hopefully going to be their first-round selection anyway. And you could get TJ Watt for that in your fifth. Oh, my goodness, ladies and gentlemen. That sounds pretty good to me. So let me know. Would you trade for TJ Watt? Give me a Y for yes. Give me an in for no in the comment section down below. Coming up, I will give you my answer to that question. Okay? I'll give you my Y for yes, or I'll give you my in for no. You got to stick around and wait to hear it. But before we do that, I like to do this just every week or so. It's time to go to the doctor. Time to get our off-season checkup. I'm going to ask you some questions, and if you answer yes, you're going to have to do something for me, okay? Are you sad the season is 146 days away? That's a long time, ladies and gentlemen. Do you wish ESPN talked about Green Bay every single day? Do you want daily off-season coverage of the Green Bay Packers? If you answered yes to any of those questions, you got to do one thing for me. That is hit that sub button right now. Waste no more time. Big red button. You can find it. It's easy. Go hit it. Lock us in right now. So it's risky trading for a guy like TJ Watt. And not risky because it's like you don't think it's going to work out. It's just risky to pay a guy that much money in general, especially when you already have a quarterback for on the hook as much as Jordan Love is. But I would take the swing 1,000%. TJ Watt is special. TJ Watts don't grow on trees. TJ Watts only come around every so often, and if you have a chance to go in there while havoc seems to be wreaking in Pittsburgh, while there seem to be question marks in Pittsburgh, and make that deal, you do it. Okay, now we also got to talk about the fact that the draft is in Green Bay. This is Brian Gutekunst, one who traded away his first-round pick when that's where the draft is. That's a massive, massive question mark. Unfortunately, if you look at the next team odds, Green Bay is not particularly high. They're falling at plus 3,300 right now, which is good enough for 17th. Barely outside of the top half of the league. Basically, Vegas is giving them less than a, let's just say it, not a very good chance. New England has a good chance. Seattle are the betting favorites, right? New England, Seattle. But still, Green Bay plus 3,300, that's not very good odds. My prediction for how this whole situation is going to end up, how this whole situation is going to, pan out, I think an extension will get done. Mike Tomlin loves TJ Watt too much. The Green Bay Steelers, a franchise that prides themselves, molds themselves, has built themselves on being a defensive franchise, is not going to let their star defensive player, a guy who had 22 and a half sacks just a few years ago, walk out the building. They're just not going to let that happen. Mike Tomlin's not going to let that happen. He does get criticized a lot for spending too much money on defense, but when it comes to opportunity, does TJ Watt get a $12 million pay raise, 11 and a half, or do you let him walk and go somewhere else? I think the answer is clear. Now, in terms of Green Bay, if they do let him walk, swoop in there, get him to Green Bay as quick as you can, and let's start the 2025 NFL season tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, we'll be back tomorrow with another video. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Join us right now. Lock us in. We got daily Packers content right here on the Packers Report.